Can Yuji save Megumi or has he given up? I want to talk about this beautiful interaction in JJK 266, but spoilers beware. So I loved this part of the chapter, especially because Gege took the time to explore this dynamic and showcase Yuji's growth in the midst of the climactic battle between the protagonist and the antagonist. But I have seen people walk away with the complete opposite interpretation of this than I do, so I wanted to showcase my point of view on this. And I'm not saying I'm right, but I did just want to put it out there and see what you guys thought and what you took away from all of this. Because I've seen a lot of people look at this panel and the one earlier where Yuji says he won't tell Megumi that he needs to live and take it as Megumi is giving up and Yuji was unsuccessful in trying to save him. I got the complete opposite take from that. So in order to examine Yuji's transformation, we got to go all the way back to the beginning, to the start of this manga where Yuji's grandfather is on his deathbed and imparts some final words to Yuji that end up shaping his entire motivations and journey for this manga. He says, "You're a strong kid, so help others. Even if it's only those closest to you, just save the people that you can. It's okay if you lose your way, and don't worry about whether they'll thank you or not. Just save as many people as you can, even if it's only one. When you die, you should be surrounded by people. Don't end up like me." These words legitimately are Yuji's launching off point, right? He then goes on to become a Jujutsu sorcerer to be this sacrificial lamb in order to take out Sukuna, in order to save as many people as he can. His entire journey at the start of this is to search for the good death, give other people a good death, and to be surrounded by others when he dies. Now, from that launching off point, Yuji obviously goes through a transformative journey in this manga, full of ups and downs, where he loses his way, finds a new answer, finds his new motivation, and continues on. But there is this through line of trying to follow what his grandfather told him, save others. And at one of Yuji's lowest points, who is there to lift him back up but Megumi? Start by saving me, Itadori. But a lot transpires between that panel and this one here where Yuji first gets to interact with Megumi and he said he's had enough. This kid has really lost everything at this point. I mean, not only was he forced by his own hand to kill his sister, but also his surrogate father as well. Megumi has truly given up. And like Gojo told us earlier in the manga, being strong is not enough. I can only save those who are already prepared to be saved. And in this moment, Megumi is not. Again, he has completely given up. Now, what makes this all the more impactful and poignant is the fact that this quote from Gojo about only being able to save those who are willing to be saved is in reference to Geto, his best friend. I mean, the parallels are very clear here. Gojo, Geto, Yuji, and Megumi, right? Will Yuji be able to succeed where his mentor failed? Why couldn't Gojo save Geto? Why didn't he get through to him? Well, there's a number of reasons, right? Primarily the fact that Gojo didn't even really notice until it was far too late. But then even when that point was reached, he couldn't see from Geto's point of view. He couldn't empathize with him and understand what had led Geto to get there. And so because of that, they were just disconnected and Gojo couldn't get through to him. He couldn't save him, and thus, I can only save people who are willing to be saved. But Yuji is not Gojo, nor is he Wasuke, his grandfather, and instead, he has his own lived experiences that have led him to his own conclusions on these things that have evolved from the standard that his grandfather and his mentor set for him. Yuji says walking the dog, raising a family, any sort of role like that is just fine. And even if you don't have anything like that, as long as you can eat and sleep, even if you're stuck in a bed sick, even if you spent your life with no connections and nothing remains of you, more than memories made in one's image, it's within the little tiny fragments that remain, drifting off where the value of a life lies. Yuji goes on to say, it never had anything to do with the ways people die. I just couldn't ever forgive those who acted as if that value didn't exist. So Sukuna, I loathe you. Humans aren't tools. We aren't born with any set role, which is to say, I don't know. I don't know whether humans are fundamentally good or evil. And this entire sequence is Yuji trying to get through to Sukuna to give him this chance to be in someone else's shoes, a chance to invoke empathy and understand that value is in life regardless of the death, regardless of the role. Now, this obviously doesn't get through to Sukuna, but I think this also serves just to show how much Yuji has grown and how much his ideals have shifted from those where the story began and from those that had taught him. And that combined with Yuji's understanding of those faced with helpless situations, like his grandfather's battle with cancer or Megumi's current situation, allow him to empathize and realize that that's why he can't just tell Megumi to keep on living. It would be disingenuous and discredit everything Megumi is going through. Instead, Yuji understands where Megumi is and says, hey, I'm going to meet you there. I understand if you can't keep going. Which brings us to this moment here where Yuji says, I'm going to be so lonely without you. Yuji has accepted Megumi's decision and agency in this situation. If Megumi does not have the will to go on, Yuji understands that. And it is precisely in that moment that Yuji finally reaches Megumi, because perhaps for the first time in his life, he's actually been given his own agency without outside pressures. He's not being told what to do. You should live. No, you need to fight back. Instead, he's been given complete empathy and understanding and left to his own choice. And that is what sparks him to fight back. And again, Yuji is not Gojo, right? You can only save those prepared to be saved. Gojo would write those people off if they weren't prepared to be saved. But Yuji, even though Megumi wasn't prepared to be saved, didn't write him off. Instead, he met him where he was and understood. And that in and of itself is what saves Megumi. And it's just so poetic that Gege literally puts Yuji in Gojo's position in this flashback. Now, just to be clear here, I'm not saying that Megumi is going to be completely fine now, because I do still think he's in danger, but I think Yuji did successfully save him, insofar as giving him a reason to want to fight back, giving him a reason to want to live. Now, that's not to say that he might not pull some self-sacrifice play in order to save Yuji at this point, and Megumi may not make it out to the other end of this, but he has come out of that depth of despair thanks to Yuji. And so by that metric, I think Yuji has connected to him, has gotten through, and has saved him. Just save as many people as you can, even if it's only one. And start by saving me, Itadori. I just think it's beautiful what Gege has done with this arc and Yuji's growth in this regard. It's only by truly understanding and having empathy and not trying to tell somebody that they need to live that he does end up saving them. He has surpassed not only his grandfather's ambitions for his life, but also his sensei's in being able to save somebody that was previously thought unsalvageable. So yeah, I absolutely loved this, but I would love for y'all's thoughts and interpretations on what exactly was going down this chapter, and I can't wait to see what else we get in these final 5 chapters. And yeah, I still can't believe that we are in the final 5. But anyways, let me know y'all's thoughts, and thank you so much for watching.